So great to have you here today.
Yeah. I mean, good morning. Such a long day. I mean, it's quite good for ETHShanghai. I think last year we can only host the online events, but this year we have in real life for ETHShanghai and also ETHShanghai Singapore. Yeah.
So can you give us some background on Chain IDE?
Yeah, I'm the founder of Chain IDE. So Chain IDE is a pioneering multi-chain integrated development environment for, we support blockchain infra such as BNB chain, Ethereum's BNB chain, and Polygon. And we have already operated in more than 185 countries, and we have helped the developers to compile, deploy smart contracts, around 8.5 million smart contracts. So we are also a long-term builders for developer ecosystems. So we have co-organized more than 100 Web3 events, including ETHShanghai, and also Meta Web3 Builder Competition, and the rebased Ethereum hackathons. So it is really an honor to join ETHShanghai again, and we are gonna make it.
So what's the state of the developer ecosystem now? Can you speak a bit about whether you see any geographical clustering in the chains that developers use?
So actually, the developer ecosystem is quite in the nascent stage, I have to say, because I travel around the world. I go to Middle East, I go to Africa, I go to a lot of places. I think in most countries, the developers ecosystem is not that big. I can list some examples. For instance, in UAE, I think Dubai stands out as a shining star. Today, we also have the friends from Coffee is Crypto, and also we have friends from Zilliqa, from Ethereum Dubai. They fly from Dubai to join ETHShanghai. I think this is really good connections, more like a bridge to bridging the East Asia developers with the Middle East developers. And also in Turkey, it really surprised me because in Turkey, we see, when I first landed in Istanbul, I see the taxi drivers who staring at the price chart of the Binance. Whoa, dude, you should look at the Google map. You need to bring me to the hotel. But he said, oh, I know the road. I just want to double check with the price. The taxi driver is not a developer, but this taxi driver sees I do see the potential of mass adoption there. So when I do the field works in Turkey, my Turkish friend told me that you should go to Kaş. It is a small town in the southern of the Antalya. It is a province in Turkish. And I traveled to Kaş. It really surprised me. The people even selling the fish, they know Web3. They have a Web3 hub. They can host events every day. And we have friends from Ukraine. We have friends from Russia. We have friends from Turkey. They do host a Web3 discussion. They have the boot camps and meetups every day. So it really surprised me because in Dubai, I think we can only host the events like once a week, but in Turkey, we can host the event like once a day. And also, I think in Hong Kong, of course, today we have a lot of guests and speakers from Hong Kong. Hong Kong is like a super connector. We have a large party in Hong Kong for the Web3 festival, and a lot of friends comes. We see the projects from East and West, they converge in Hong Kong. So I think Hong Kong is also have a good atmosphere around the world. So there are too many stories I can talk. I can talk about Egypt, I can talk about Jordan, I can talk about Yemen, I can talk about too many countries. But I think in many countries, we see these true builders. I think they are long-term builders for Web3, but for some countries, we still think they are quiet. I have to say that, to be honest, we know it is still very early stage for Web3 and also for the blockchain technology. This is the same situation for the developer ecosystems. So I think we still need to build, and we are on the way. The second question, I think, is about the geography. This is also very interesting. I think for Ethereum's impact is very powerful in North America, also in Europe, and also in China. I think Ethereum is kind of dominating China. But we see maybe in Middle East, in Dubai, and also in Turkey, Binance and BNB chain is also very popular. A lot of people are trying to use BNB chain. And also in India, of course, I have to say Polygon is a champion. And in Egypt, I even see some teams, they are building on Cardano's. So from my point of view, of course, there are different layer ones. They have different impact on different places and different regions. And I do see some developers, they have some preference on different blockchains, different from the region. Yeah, that is my opinion.
So what are the barriers to mass adoption?
I think the first challenge is lack of applications. I have to say nowadays, I think all the Web3 friends, we should focus on building or helping the application builders because we want to achieve mass adoption. This is our top priority nowadays. We do not want outside people say, this is useless for blockchain, this is useless for Web3. We do need to create application to let them to shut up because owning the applications can show the power of the community, can show the power of the users. So nowadays, as ChinID, we are also a developer tools. But what we want to do is we host a lot of hackathons, we host a lot of bootcamps, and we do a lot of applications because we want to educate and encourage the application builders. We want to encourage them to build some true application that can help the user from the Web2 world into the Web3 world. So I think this is the first thing. We are lack of applications. We should encourage and we should educate the application builders. The second thing I think it is quite interesting is we still, it is not frictionless for the Web2 users. I have to say nowadays, you need to, get MetaMask, you need to acquire Ethereum, you need to go to exchange and get your coins to interact with dApps. This is really obstacle for the Web2 users. So I think maybe in the future, I think we remember a rule for the Web2 application. They have the three-click philosophy. That is, you need to pay or you need to enjoy the service with only 3 clicks. So I think in the future, for all the Web3 dApps, maybe we should also think about the 3-click applications. We should only use 3 clicks to enjoy the service. That is a frictionless experience for the user. Yeah.
Yeah, so a common criticism of Web3 is there are not many users. So what do you say to that?
Yeah, of course, I think, in fact, in our industry, few applications have users nowadays. Many applications, they do not have users. But for me, I think everything already become better and better in the last 5 years. So 5 years ago, when I first entered this industry, we have nothing to buy and we have nothing to play. We can only, ICO is hyped around the world. The only thing we can do is believe in some others white paper or dreams. But nowadays we have Uniswap. They have trading volume like $100 billion. And I think in some days, they even surpass Coinbase and Binance. They become the top one. They win the competition with the centralized exchange. We also have Compound. We have Aave, which means we have the smart contract and we have the decentralized banks. People can enjoy the interest. They can store their tokens and they can also get the interest. And we also have our own trend like BAYC and Azuki. We have our brands. We do not need to follow LV or Gucci or anything else. We have our own NFTs. And also we have a lot of GameFis. We have X Infinities and we have also Steppers. And all these applications is the things we can enjoy. And like 5 years ago, we can enjoy nothing. But nowadays we have a lot of applications, we have a lot of games, and we have a lot of dApps we can enjoy. So I think things becomes better and better. But still, we are lack of applications and we are lack of users. So we still have long term to go, but we need to be hardworking. Yeah, that is my opinion.
And what do you think about the user experience? How does it compare to, say, 5 years ago?
I think, yeah, nowadays you still need MetaMask. Like 5 years ago, you still need to MetaMask. But I think for some user experience, it becomes better. Because, for example, inside the MetaMask, you have the MetaMask swap, and you can do the swap directly. And also you can charge with your Visa outside mainland China. They do have some channels to charge their Ethereum or Bitcoins or Flow or anything. So I think this one is also better. For the dApps, of course, we change a lot of modules, we change a lot of libraries, and you can have some fancy techniques like signing with your MetaMask, or you can sign in with your Google, with your GitHub. I think these things also becomes better and better. But on some other side, for example, why we need account abstraction? Because we also see there's no account control in some case. For example, Vitalik's account always receives some NFTs, some scams NFTs or some scam tokens that will pretend that Vitalik is buying or is pumping or something. We do not have the account control. So this is why we need the account abstractions. So I think, yeah, for something we are better, for something we still lack of the techniques. So we are trying to research also. This is a basic situation for us.
So what do you think the first kind of mass use case will be?
This is a good question. I mean, nowadays we see GameFi, we see DeFi, we see DAO, we see Metaverse, we see NFTs, we see a lot of fancy stuffs nowadays. But from my point of self, of course, I have faith in Metaverse. That is why we're also a technical partners of Matrix World. It is a multi-chain Metaverse. Besides of Metaverse, I think payment is also another issue, another critical track, because I know in a lot of countries, for example, in Lebanon, people use USDT and USDC for their own cryptocurrency exchange. And also in Iran, people have to use that because they got banned from SWIFT. There's no banking systems for their people. This is the people from rise from bottoms. They have no choice. They can only use the USDT or USDC. And also in Dubai, there's one place called International City. And I mean, a lot of Chinese restaurants here. It is really nice. And you can enjoy food with USDT and USDC. This is pretty cool. So I think payment is another thing will be a big track and a big trend. I think over 51% of the Mastercard users in South America, they buy cryptos through Mastercard. And also 45% of the youth in Thailand, they buy cryptos. And also I see a lot of a kind of crypto bank in Turkey and Istanbul. So all these things relate to payment. I think payment is a good track. And also for DAO, I think DAO is another thing because in the future, of course, there will be a global recession. A lot of governments, they have inflation, their own cryptocurrency, their own currency is, I mean, decreased a lot. But I think for DAOs, still people want to build up their own projects. They still want to have their own business. The original format of the business is like you open a company. If you want to hire people from America, if you want to hire people from Ireland, if you want to hire people from UK, you need to have a branch there. This is really a cost for them. So maybe in the future, they can organize a DAO. And if they do something, you can give them the tokens and you can give them some cryptos. And this is the way how we organize people around the world. So this is kind of the transformer of the business. So maybe I think this is another big track for the mass adoption. Yeah.
So you also mentioned metaverse at the beginning. So can you speak a bit more about that? Like, why would that be also a kind of mass use case?
Yeah, I think metaverse is really interesting because we all know the centralized metaverse, like it built by Tencent or it built by NetEase or Bilibili. They are all centralized metaverse. They are not Ready Player One. If you buy something, that means you can only play in Tencent's metaverse or you can only play it in Bilibili's metaverse. But this is a different story in Web3. We see outside mainland China, we have NFTs who got recognized by Twitter, by Instagrams, by Facebooks. They only recognize the NFTs from, the Ethereums, because the Ethereum's NFTs do have active users. And all these Web2 giant, they have to recognize Ethereums. So maybe in the future, if you build something based on the NFTs of Ethereums, maybe they can have a multi-world, multiverse, and you can connect everything together. For example, if you have a weapon inside this metaverse, and because this is built on ERC 721, it can also reuse in other metaverse. It can also reuse in other games. It can also reuse in other DAOs. So this is the interesting part. This is a total different story. It's just like the motorcycle inside the Ready Player One. You can see it can play in these race games, and it can fix in the big world, and also you can use in other games. This is the basic ideas about the multiverse. So I think Web3 is very important inside the metaverse. So we believe owning the blockchain-driven metaverse is the real metaverse. That is why we think the multi-chain metaverse, the blockchain-driven metaverse will win these games. Yeah.
And this year, we've also seen a lot of talk about AI. And I'm wondering, how does that fit into Web3 development? Are there any examples where you've already seen it being used?
Yeah, of course. I think AI is, of course, it's definitely unlimited possibilities for AI. I think the day before yesterday, we have the workshops for ETHShanghai. Our topic is also AI-driven and full-stack development through ChatID. So our CTO give workshops to teach people how to use the AI to do not only front end, but also back end and also smart contract. It is a full stack development for the Web3 development. So we think AI is very useful and it's very powerful. With the but I mean, AI can only release the productive power of the human beings. You can help you use AI. You can build infinity avatars. You can build infinity games. You can build infinity digital content. But for Web3, it's more like the basic rules, like the foundations, because smart contract is a language designed for rule makings. You use smart contract to ensure some logic. You use smart contract to do something like code is law. So I think AI is the upper limit of the whole virtual world, and Web3 is like the foundations of the virtual world. So I mean, combine AI and Web3 together, they can create synergies and it can build the future virtual world together. That's my opinion. Yeah.
So are you already using it yourself?
Of course, I'm using AI every day, kind of ChatGPT to help me to organize everything and also to write some Word and also write some PPT. Yeah.
And are there any kind of interesting use cases that you've seen from other developers as well when it comes to AI?
Yeah. I mean, in our ChatID, we have a ChatID code stage. It can assist the developers to debugging, to coding, and also to comment and decomment. It has very useful functions. I mean, this one is very interesting. We know a lot of engineers and developers. They are, I mean, get struggle in writing comments. I mean, some of them are very lazy. But with the ChatGPT and also code stage, you can use ChatGPT to write comment for them. It is very organized and it is very, I mean, follows a logic. Everything is powerful, and they can just use ChatGPT to help them organize their smart contract and also help them to do the debugging. I think we have one example about the re-entry attack. It is a kind of a homework on the Polygon. So people will need to find the bugs, and it is a re-entry attack. So they need to fix the bugs to get the marks. But with the code stage, I mean, ChatID code stage, it can automatically find the bugs and I mean, give you some hint what's happening and what you should notice, and this one should be debugged. And this is very powerful. In the future, a lot of developers can use these AI tools to get into the Web3 world and to accelerate their products. This is the most important thing. Yeah.
And how do you see the future of multi-chain development, say in 5 years' time?
Yeah, I think our industry changed a lot in the past 5 years. I think 5 years ago, we still have US. I mean, we now still have US, but US devs, there are few devs and a few developers. 5 years ago, things are different. I think today is not the end of the game. We also see some new blockchains coming out and the new smart contract language. For example, in Ethereum, we have Solidity, right? So Solidity is more like a wrapper for all the ERC 721 and ERC 20. It's like an address of the token owner. It is like an address. And you inside the smart contract, you need to define everything. But for Sui and Aptos, they have their own language called Move. Actually, it is inherited from Libra Move. So Move is a resource-oriented language. This is also the same situation for Cadence. So you can move your NFTs as your own. I mean, this NFT is not written inside the smart contract. This NFT belongs to yourselves. It is like a resource. So we see some new techniques coming out. We also see layer 2. We also see ZK. We also see some on-chain games techniques. So these kind of techniques do have a lot of challenge, but I think they will change the game. So I think nowadays, Ethereum is very powerful. Ethereum is dominating in some countries, but I think Ethereum is also involved. And also, I think a lot of layer 2s and also new blockchains will join this competition. So I think multi-chain is a big story about next decades, and a lot of applications, a lot of users will jump into this industry and enjoy the multi-chain connectivity and enjoy the multi-chain applications.
And have you seen or encountered people who disagree with you on that? Do they see a different future for multi-chains?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they are trying to use different things on different blockchains, especially for the payment. I think some friends from Middle East know the situation. I mean, in the Middle East, people use USDT not from Ethereum because they think Ethereum is really expensive. They use USDT and USDC from out chains, from other chains, or from layer 2s. This is very interesting. So payment is a good mass adoption tracks. And also I think for DAOs, they also have the NFTs, more like the Pope. They not issued on the mainnet, they also issued on the sidechains. So I think multi-chain is a big track, and in the future, of course, there will be multi-chain applications. Yeah.
I think that's it for this panel. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.